And a frosty good morning to you, beloveds. It was cold yesterday, but because it was wet, yes, all the day before, there wasn't a whole lot of frost. But this morning, it was cold, and there was a lot of frost. It was exciting. I enjoyed it. Because we didn't get any snow. We rarely get snow. I live far enough south. We don't. But sometimes we do get really good frost. There's nothing quite like going out with if you have a good cell phone camera, going out and putting your zoom all the way up. Zoom your camera as much as you can and then take pictures of the frost. Some days it's like the universe. It's epic and awesome. And I spent way too much time taking pictures this morning in the cold. Because, it was below freezing. No. When we left to go for the run, it was 30 degrees with feels like of 27. So it was below freezing. Nothing like below freezing to get you moving. And it seems like today, when I started running, she's like, well, light jogging. I'm like, lady, what do you think I do? That's all I do is light jogging. I'm like, I say I'm a runner, but it's a light jog. It's a light jog. I'm not fast. The fastest mile I've ever done was 13 minutes. And it was cold. It was below freezing. So, you want me to run fast? Let me run in freezing weather. But last week, I was running from light pole to light pole, the street lights. This morning, I actually could run 2 street lights, walk 1, run 2 street lights. So my body's like, oh, we're doing this again? Okay. I'm pretty happy about that. So I hope that you're having as exciting of a morning as I am. But it is January 12th, and our title is I Accept the Outpouring of Spirit. Hereby know that we dwell in him, and he is in us, because he hath given us of his Spirit. And that is from 1 John 4:13. So, how could we better explain this than to use the words of Robert Browning? 'Tis thou, God, who hath given, 'tis I who receives. Or Emerson, who said that we are beneficiaries of the divine fact. The thoughts of both Emerson and Browning were thoughts of acceptance and recognition. Like all men of great spiritual insight, they knew that the gift of life is an eternal reality, that it is our office to accept it. Today, I accept this gift of divine life and love that God has eternally given to me and to everyone. With deep gratitude and a childlike simplicity, I enter into the joy and the peace that comes from the realization of divine guidance. For I know that love guides my thoughts, even as it guards my life and action. I know that the eternal presence is really embracing everything. In this presence, I serenely and confidently rest, placing all my hope and aspiration in its loving care. In this love, I embrace the world and affirm that peace shall come on earth and goodwill exist among people everywhere. I also realize that I belong to the universe in which I live, and it belongs to me. It is the gift of God. I am unified with everyone I will ever meet, and they with me. For we all are manifestations of the one presence. Gratefully acknowledging and gladly receiving this benediction from heaven, I live and love and accept life in its fullest. All right, so I would say, we're going to go all the way back through this, but one of the most important sentences in this whole thing is, for we are all manifestations of the one presence. We are all manifestations of the one presence. And that may have to, for today, that for me, that's the most important thing, and that may have to do with what's going on in the world. That's one of the things that I want you to take into account when you read any sacred text or any text talking about sacred text, sacred adjacent. It's going to be informed by what is going on in your life at the moment. And that is okay. That is part of the purpose of sacred texts. But you also want to be aware of it. That is one of the ways that sacred texts throughout history have been skewed and used inappropriately. It's like, okay, this is what's going on. Let's see what we can make of the sacred text. And that's one of the beautiful things about Islam, is that they recognize that their sacred text is a living, breathing, and the interpretation must change with the time. I'm not sure if the Buddhists and the Hindus do that. The Hindus probably do. I'm trying to think. It's like, what are the Buddhist sacred texts? Now that I'm thinking about it, I probably do know some of them. I just blank. And that's one of the mistakes that we've made with Christian sacred texts, is we haven't allowed them to live. We locked them into 2,000 years ago and said, this means this. And that's not what sacred texts are about. Sacred texts are about living and breathing in understanding into your current life. So please allow your sacred texts to inform you, and understand that your sacred text will change, sometimes daily, with what's going on around you. And as long as you hold on to that, you will get way more out of your sacred text than you would if you just lock them in that 2,000-year-old case. So, that's my soapbox for today, apparently. So I accept the outpouring of Spirit. That's what we're here to do. We are here to be expressions of Spirit. We are here to have experiences via Spirit, or their Spirit is having expressions via us. So, hereby know that we dwell in Him, and He is in us, because He hath given us of His Spirit. We literally breathe the breath of God. God breathed the first breath into us, and then we have, from this point on, have breathed the breath of God. And if we think about that, just think about that for a minute, that you are breathing the breath of God. Does that change the way you feel? Does that change how you breathe? Because one of the things that I would tell you is, if you're breathing the breath of God, breathe deeper. If you are thinking the thoughts of God, think deeper or think higher. Think about that. You are seeing God around you. Does it change how you interact with life around you? We are all manifestations of the one present. And honestly, if it doesn't change how you interact with the people around you, one of two things happens. One, you're a saint, which I'm certainly not. So, or two, you're not paying attention. So, how could we better explain this than to use the words of Robert Browning? "'Tis thou, God, who have given. 'Tis I who receive." This world around us is a gift from God. Would it be a better place if we treated it like that? Or Emerson, who said that we are beneficiaries of the divine fact. Emerson had a way with words. I don't always like it. The thoughts of both Emerson and Browning were thoughts of acceptance and recognition. They were both recognizing that everything that we see around us comes from the same source, and it comes from a divine source. And I really do think that if we treated it as such, it would be better. Everything would be better. Ooh. And I am unconscious enough that, you know, it's a wake up to me too. It's like, hey, everything around you is a gift from God. Act like it. And then we get caught up in our lives and forget. So then we read things like this and they remind us. Like all men of great spiritual insight, they knew that the gift of life is an eternal reality, that it is our office to accept it. It is our job to accept the divine gift. All of it. Even the parts we don't like. Because even the parts we don't like, we have the power to do something about. That is part of the divine fact, as Emerson calls it. Today I accept this gift of divine life and love that God has eternally given to me and everyone. So I'm accepting the gift, and I know, because we all came from the same source, we all have the same gift of life and love. With deep gratitude and a childlike simplicity, I enter into the joy and peace that come from the realization of divine guidance. For I know that love guides my thoughts, even as it guards my life and action. So love guides my thoughts, and because love is guiding my thoughts, then it is guarding my life and action. If I make choices in love, I am rarely gonna go wrong. I'm rarely gonna go wrong. Same with you. If you make choices out of love, and I mean subjective love, not objective love, then you will rarely make a mistake. You will rarely make a mistake. And we just came through the Christmas season. So he says childlike simplicity. When you give a child a gift, remember that excitement. Remember just looking at the shiny package. And then when you open that gift and you have and they open the gift and they have something that they really like, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So should have turned my text messaging off today. I see. All right. So remember that thrill as you look around you. The Christmas morning childlike wonder of the gift. Okay. I know that the eternal presence is really embracing everything. So when something isn't perfect, whole, whatever, know that what did he call it? The presence is there. And if the presence is there, then the power is there to do something about it. And the presence is there. That is the whole point of this. Okay. So in this presence, I serenely and confidently rest, placing all my hope and aspiration in its loving care. In this love, I embrace the world and affirm that peace shall come on earth and goodwill exist among people everywhere. So I go back to my statement. The divine presence is embracing everything. If the divine presence is there, then we have the power to fix, to change, to reaffirm, to sort out things that are not our preference. And the divine presence is always there. So, in this love, I embrace the world and affirm that peace shall come on earth and goodwill exist among people everywhere. Faith that I am holding the space, that everyone can see that we came from the same source, we go to the same source, that everything has the same source, and that there's enough, and that we are enough. I also realize that I belong to the universe in which I live, and it belongs to me. which means I have both rights and responsibilities. I belong to the universe, and the universe belongs to me. You belong to the universe, and the universe belongs to you. That means we have rights and responsibilities. We have the right to live here and to live as we choose, but we also have the responsibility to make sure that it is a world that works for everyone. I am unified with everyone I will ever meet, and they with me. For we all are manifestations of the one presence. Gratefully acknowledging and gladly receiving this benediction from heaven, I live and love and accept life in its fullness. So, our mission should we choose to accept it today is to live and love and accept life in its fullness. And I'm going to tell you that is a tall order. That is a tall order. But the good news is that there's an inexhaustible supply of power to do that mission available at all times. All it requires is recognition that it's there. That the power, the presence, the life, the love flows through each and every one of us. And with that, we are capable of anything. All right. Ooh, yeah, my heat's running and my hands are still cold. So, I am going to encourage you, as I always do something loving for yourself, do something kind for yourself, do something compassionate for yourself today and every day. Because you are a beloved child of God in whom God is well pleased. Always. That is the state of grace that we live in. That is exactly what that reading just said. As Emerson says, that is the divine fact. That is the divine fact of us. So, open the windows of your soul. Allow the breath of heaven to remind you that you live in heaven now. Open your eyes and look with those heavenly eyes. Look with God's eyes and see that heaven is around you. That heaven is around you. All right. Reverend David will be on with you around 5 p.m. today. I will be back with you at 9 a.m. tomorrow. I do encourage you to do something that engages your mind and your body today. And I also say do what you need to do to make it a fantastic day. All right, beloveds?